Hey, hello musicians and artists and everyone and all the curling guys in the back. My name is Matt Dell. Thank you for coming out today. This is our curling club open house. This kind of started it really started with the curling club and their desire to turn that space into a bit more of a music venue. I've linked up with the curling club to talk about how the city of Victoria can be helping arts and culture in the city, which is a huge priority for this current city council. So it's kind of a perfect marriage of a willing participant in venue and a city council that wants to be supporting arts and culture, and obviously a ton of musicians and promoters who are desperately looking for space. So today is meant to be just kind of an open house to talk about arts and culture in the city. We have a bunch of whiteboards up here with questions, and then I want to introduce, this is Paul Dixon, who is the venue manager. I'm not sure what to call him. He's half curling club, half venue manager. So we thought about as a format for today, just asking Paul questions and him talking about his vision for the space. And I know a lot of folks have asked questions like, what's the insurance situation? How much does it cost to rent the venue? And my takeaway from my first conversation with you is that you're kind of still working through some of that stuff. So this is a bit more almost of a workshop as well to get feedback from artists and promoters on what they're looking for, what you'd like out of the space. So we can do Q&As for, I don't know, whatever, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then hang out. There is beer in the back, right? There's beer in the back. I'm gonna get one right now, and then there's food downstairs. So just thanks for coming out, and thanks for sticking around, and please ask any questions you have, and I think everyone will be interested. So I'll hand it off to Paul and see where we go.
Thanks, Matt. So yeah, welcome everybody. As Matt said, it's very embryonic right now in terms of what we're trying to do up here. But we do have a bit of a vision, but we're also looking for feedback from you guys, right? So I'd love to have this Q&A be a bit of Q&A both directions if we can. To give you a bit of a sense of what we're thinking about right now is basically where I'm standing right now would be our nominal stage area, quite likely. So we're basically talking about from that wall up to about here and some sort of squarish type of thing. What we would like to do is obviously build a bit of a stage. There's lighting issues that we need to address, obviously, potentially sound systems that we need to address. What we are looking to do is quite likely the wall right over there would actually come down and make for a larger space going back that direction as well. Yeah, so that door right now, this is a curling club, right? So that door actually goes into our ladies' locker room. So not ideal for a public-facing space to have our ladies' change room up here. The plan would be to remove all of those lockers, move them downstairs, make the recreation facilities downstairs, make the music and public-facing space up here. Yeah, and then that way, actually, when that wall comes down, both bathrooms are then accessed through doors that face this direction. The questions that are up here that were brought up by the city are fantastic, so I'd love to see some answers up here, but anybody's got some questions, let's go.
So I have a question about the insurance, right? So when we rent this, do we have to pay an insurance on top of it, or is that all included when we rent it?
So the question was about insurance and whether insurance is included when you rent the space or not. The answer is, at the moment, yes. We are still actually in some discussions with our insurance company with respect to what changing this place is going to do to our insurance. At the moment, we've sort of extrapolated what we think we're going to be doing in terms of numbers of events, and I know that that's impacting our premium. The other thing that impacts insurance premiums for us is percentage of bar sales as a percentage of our overall revenue. So the one good thing there is that currently, although our bar sales are quite decent, our curling revenue still drives a ton of our business. And this is considered one huge space. So we're not in a situation where our bar sales are causing our insurance rates to skyrocket. And hopefully that stays the case into the future as well. And I've got some people actually in the club that are helping us out with that very question. So a bit of a vague answer, sorry, but that's where we're at right now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of volume of events are you looking to do?
So volume of events, how many events would we have? Again, a good question. So summertime, we'd actually love to fill this place as much as we possibly can, quite frankly. In the winter time, when we get into our curling season, obviously we've got leagues coming up here all the time. There's still room for events though, and the hope would be that we'd still have 1 or 2 a week that would just work around what we've got going on here on a regular basis. So yeah. Capacity is 180. That includes staff. So I mean, technically, we're probably talking about around a public-facing number of ticket sales coming in here, about 160, 165-ish, thereabouts. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, does that include the people who are coming to the concert and the people at the club?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay, so you just said 160.
Yeah. Call it 160. If you guys want to think about this as 150 capacity space, that's probably about right. Yeah. The question is about all ages or not, and so the answer is not really. Our current liquor license is slightly goofy, and we're not getting any changes to it with respect to all ages. But in the winter time, when we've got curling going on, yeah, we can have minors up here up until 10 o'clock. But when there's not curling going on, we're straight up 19 only. Yes?
What kind of hours are you looking at?
So our hours, we would probably, again, depends on demand, depends on our capacity to staff the place as well, quite frankly. But our current liquor license, we're open till 1 o'clock here. Last call's 12:30. And that's pretty much 7 days a week with the exception of Sunday, it's an hour earlier. So we'd probably be looking at this as more of a late afternoon, evening venue, even when there's not actual bands or anything playing here. Yes?
Parking for concert goers?
Parking for concert goers is a massive issue, which is the same as parking for our curling people as well. It's not great around here. The lot next door is not owned by us, it's run by Robbins. It's fairly expensive parking. There's parking up here in Green Street, which is usually available evening time. Street parking is wide open. But I know certainly for myself when I've been here, not as a staff member because I've got cool VIP parking beside the building here, but when I've been here as just a straight curler, and there's been a Royals game or something like that going on next door, I'm often parking up by Cook Street. It's doable, but it's limited. Yes?
I want to know what genres of music are going to be occupying the events over here, and I want to know if it's extreme genres are welcome.
Yeah, for sure. So the question is about genres, and our vision for this place is not to be genre specific in any way, shape, or form. I would really like punk to polka. That's sort of our mantra that we're doing here. Death metal is welcome here as well. I have got no issues with it. Seriously. We'd like this to be a community space, quite frankly. Go ahead.
Co-op shops next door. What's the plan for that?
Is there going to be illegal activities happening here? No, I think we're good. They're fully supportive of us. They're amazing neighbors, quite frankly. Yeah.
What are you looking at for rental costs?
So rental cost is the question, and here's where we start getting into things where, again, embryonic stages here. Currently, what I can tell you is our current model for renting this space when we have private events up here. So this is non-curling events. So I've got one coming in this evening, as an example. No band or anything playing here, but they're doing a little bit of curling. They're coming in here. They want to use this space as a staff area, so it's a private rental. Our current model is based on a minimum spend at the bar. Rather than a here's our flat hourly rental rate. So $750 being spent at the bar means that the rental of the venue is free. Okay? So if it's less than $750, let's say, you draw 30 people and they spend a couple $100, the rental's 500, right? Does that make sense? Okay, sorry, go ahead, follow up.
Does that count for people from the club drinking as well as drinking?
Yeah, if we're here in the evening, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So to give you guys just a bit of a sense that like we've had a couple of shows here last year while we had curling going on. So it was a Friday night. We've got 2 leagues that happen on Friday night. We've got a 4:45 league that ends at about 7. We've got a 7 o'clock league that ends about 9. We had a band here on Friday night. They started playing about 9:30. But what we did is they sold tickets for their show. What we said is like, look, it's in the middle of curling season. We've got a bunch of people coming off the ice. There were 60 odd people coming out there. We'd love to expose them to your music. Curlers that were already here just came upstairs as per normal. Typically they end up hanging out down by the bar. The band was playing down here. But what we again like to do is community space, punk to polka, right? So if they're happy with the music, they're going to hang out. If they're not happy with the music, they're going to leave. That's fine, but we don't want to exclude anybody from the space. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you guys looking at alternative events like burlesque, drag shows, comedy?
Yeah. So the question is about non-music events. Absolutely, yeah. Again, we're kind of casting about right now. We know what we'd like to see happen up here in terms of numbers of users and user groups. The question is, are we going to be able to sustain it? Can we sustain the bar? And then, there is still questions that we have about, impacts on our existing membership and everything as well, right? We've got 900 odd people that are very interested in what happens up here on a regular basis. So, go ahead.
Yeah, the current discussions include ones about using the ice space for events again.
So the question's about not this space, but out on the main floor. So our main floor holds about 1,400 people, 1,450 I think it's licensed for. There hasn't been shows there for a long time. Last year, Skafest came in. This is the first time they were here, I think, since about 2010. I know there's been shows here in the past. I remember seeing the Pixies here back on their reunion tour. Okay, so it's a space that exists. We'd like to explore it. To be fully transparent, we've got a ton of balls in the air right now in terms of what we're trying to do with this space. We've got some capital costs that we're dealing with out in our ice shed, so both machinery, but actually, weirdly, more specifically, it's the floor itself. If you take a look out at the ice right now, you'll see a small black spot in between sheets 5 and 6, which is a brine leak that we have to address this summer. And we still do not know exactly how we're going to address that because we're not sure if it can be fixed easily or if it needs to be fixed more difficultly. But that's something that's going to affect floor usage and all the rest of it. Sometime in the next 24 months, we probably will be needing to replace our floor entirely, and there's going to be some questions surrounding that with, do we put in a sand floor for curling and then put something over top of it for events? Do we want events in here? Do we want to be more of a curling club out there and events up here? So there's questions about that. We don't know. Yes.
Acoustically, are you going to be doing photos? Because the windows, will be...
The windows are a problem, I know. Yeah. So that's the type of stuff that we'd like to hear, quite frankly, yeah. So these windows here, we actually have some drapes for. So that's easy and basically addressed. We can't do much about the windows themselves, but there are drapes for them. These ones here, we need to figure out, quite frankly. So again, yeah, that's the type of stuff that I'd like to hear from you guys. Like, these things aren't gonna work. Can you do something about them? And then that's something we can add to our work lists, right?
Even in the curling ring, because I played there like 30 years ago, but it's like a big echo chamber in there, so you would have to do something acoustically for that, or it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
What's your timeline for the renovation, design, all that sort of thing?
Timeline for renovations is way up in the air, and if any of you have been dealing with contractors in the city, you probably have an idea of what that looks like. Earlier this year, we actually had our front window broken. by just a random rock thrower that was wandering past, and it took 3 weeks for somebody to come down and measure it, and it took another 6 weeks for somebody to replace the pane of glass. That being said, we do have a large membership to draw on. We've got a bunch of volunteer labor as well floating around up here. We would like, in a perfect world, to have that wall down and this area up here made into a viable space by late summer. Our curling season ends at the end of this month. Following that, we dry the floor out there, and then the Times Colonist comes in for basically a month to do their book sale. They're out of here by the middle of May, which would be exactly when we'd be starting this renovation if it all goes well. And then, like I say, if we sort of give ourselves a couple of months of time, we're probably looking at late July. That's very, very tentative, but that's kind of fingers crossed what we're looking for. Sorry, go ahead.
You're gonna be beefing up the electrical, I would assume. You've got 2 plugs and probably the same circuit.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, electrical is the question, and yeah, we've had sort of in building brownouts in the past, depending on stuff, right? So yeah, and 100%. Again, something that we know we need to address, and it's just a question of how. Sorry, you go ahead.
Maybe more of a suggestion as a question, but something that works super well at Logan's was like having the regular nights, every third Wednesday of the month is the death metal night, and working with promoters to just provide some stability and a bit of a cycle to things.
I like it. Yeah. So the comment was about sort of having regular sort of theme nights type of idea as we go along. Death metal Wednesdays or whatever that actually looks like. That works for us. I mean, we're actually already familiar with that model to a large extent because that's what we do with our curling leagues. So yeah, doable. Yes. The question is about PA and sound system, and quite frankly, that's a question I'm going to throw back to you guys. I don't know. So the question was, do we want to have our own sound system here that you guys can come and plug into? What does that look like? I'm 100% open in terms of suggestions on that front, quite frankly.
What do you plan on doing with the neighbors regarding noise?
So the question's about neighbors and noise. The hope would be that we're largely self-contained here.
Because the soundproofing is already an issue that's going to need to be addressed, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Outside smokers and stuff, it's unavoidable. There's going to be people for a block or two either way.
Yeah. So questions about noise control and all the rest of it. Again, we've had stuff happening here in the past. It has not been an issue to date. We'd like to hope that continues, but it's stuff that we need to deal with. Part of the problem right now in this space, and again, it's a problem that we also have actually out there, and it's one that we need to address, is with respect to climate control. So, yeah, it's warm in here right now. We're in the middle of winter. I come here in July, put this many people in this space, and we're all sweating a lot. So we don't have air conditioning. Nor do we have heat in the winter, really. We've got a boiler downstairs that's basically one temperature for the whole building. In the wintertime, it's fine up here for the most part. But in the summertime, it's not. And we know that that's something we need to address. These windows do not open, which is great for noise control, but not great for climate control. But we need to probably address some air conditioning type stuff. Yes?
I, for one, I'm super excited about this, but I just wanted to say, self-policing and a healthy scene is obviously we'll have to make sure people aren't fucking shit up and down the street. But ideally, you should be able to police yourselves and stuff. And I'm just the sound system thing. You guys are gonna be having shows here all the time. We're gonna need a sound guy and a sound system, and then you just charge the bands for that.
Yes.
Got it. So some suggestions regarding the sound system there. Really good stuff, yeah. And again, that's the type of stuff that I need to hear as we're making these plans, right? Yes, go ahead. Heat pump. Heat pump is a good suggestion. And it's actually one that we're hoping, fingers crossed. So we've again got a bunch of mechanical equipment and ice making stuff out there. we have a big dehumidifier that's sitting on our roof that dehumidifies our curling ice surface. And the refrigeration people that put the dehumidifier in were actually talking about that very thing, a heat pump. Then it becomes a question of ducting and how do we get it in here, but doable, for sure.
Just for PA, I think if at all possible, having a decent PA in the space, in place, ready to go is just huge. I mean, yeah, and yeah, even an in-house sound guy or rotating sound guys. Phoenix is great, but hauling all your gear out there every time is just an absolute nightmare.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so again, another vote for in-house PA there. And yeah, I think that's something that we would be looking at for sure. Yeah, go ahead. Gotcha. Okay, very cool. Again, some more good thoughts on the sound systems and stuff in here. What else? Sorry?
I just want to say I have one sound engineer, so we need some help, like some tips regarding the sound.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. Yes. So yeah, stage again would be hopefully basically right in the area I'm standing right here. Something like from this core column here out and then back down. Again, taking suggestions on that. We know what we'd like to see up here. We're not always sure exactly how we want to do it, but we want to make sure that we're catering to the maximum number of people that want to use the space as possible. Yes, go ahead.
So two things, accessibility. Is there any way to get up the stairs for mobility impaired people? My friend said there might be a lift on there. Okay. And then as well, having a stage here possibly for more viewability for people that don't want to be up there as well.
Right, okay, so the question was about accessibility of the building, and it's a problem, there's no doubt. The building was built in 1952, it's been added on to a few times since then, but if you spend any amount of time in this building, quite literally anywhere, there's stairs everywhere. You cannot get anywhere without going up and down at least a couple of stairs, even when you're out on the ice surface, quite frankly. It's really hard to get around. We do have some chairlifts. They are not perfect. They work, with the exception of the one that's downstairs in our front entryway, which does not. So there's about 8 steps that still need to be navigated. Then there's still actually a front step outside of our building as well. So we've got stairs everywhere. It's a nightmare. One of the things that we're going to be looking at, and this is probably more long-term, quite frankly, because of the cost involved, is trying to make this building more accessible. It's been on our radar for a while. It's just a question of, can we get some grant funds? What can we do to make it work? We know what we need to do, but getting there is super difficult right now.
This question is totally premature, but you know who's going to be in charge of booking and stuff like that? Or?
No, me. Is the short answer. Who's in charge of booking? Me. Me. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. Your enthusiasm is like contagious. It's obvious you're really into this.
Seriously, actually, thank you guys, because this is a fantastic group turnout. Really surprised. Still, any other questions? I'm totally up for. Yes, go ahead.
You guys thought about acoustic treatments or anything like that? You guys thought about acoustic treatments in here or anything like that? Panels, that kind of stuff.
So the question's about acoustic treatments up here, and the answer is yeah. Again, sure, yes. We realize that probably would be a good thing. What they look like, we're again willing to take input, suggestions. We've got a few contacts that are floating around, but yeah, we're trying to make this work for everybody if we possibly can. And yes, we understand. I mean, we slap these things up. If anybody had been in this club before, say about 4 or 5 years ago, you may remember how gross it was up here. There was carpeting all back there, and there's a big, huge, massive smoke eater that basically went the length of this entire bar. So where these acoustic panels are right now used to be a big, huge duct, basically. And so back in the 1980s, when everybody was smoking in the building, it just ate smoke from people's cigarettes. We took that down. We put those panels up because it was started. We realized really quickly that it was echoing like crazy up here. Do we need more? Yeah, probably, especially if we're going to have bands in here on a regular basis. Yeah, so the question's about whether we'd be doing our own thing as well as renting it out to bands and whatnot. I think so, yeah. There's going to be a point where two agendas are going to end up colliding a little bit, and we have not worked out the logistics of that, to be perfectly honest. We're going to figure it out, but yeah. Yes?
I think relevant to that, I think one thing is worth, this isn't really a question, one thing that this city needs, myself and promoters in other respective subgenres have a list of touring bands that are on labels from this region, and I can't book them anywhere. We need somewhere that has a reasonable overhead that we can bring bands here to give our local team an opportunity to play with actual bands, places and stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same band. It's going to stagnate. It's going to stagnate. Check what's happening.
So what is this? Okay,
It's
so
not even a question. I'm just saying,
no.
kind of in relation to what we, myself and a lot of promoters, what we really need is a space for like, you know, the 750 bar equals free, place where we can book a band on a Tuesday or whatever, because that's when their tour happens to be. That's what I personally need the most as a person who's musician.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Okay, that's good intel as well. Any other questions from anybody?
Do you know yet if or how load-ins will work, and will there be a green room?
Sorry, how?
Do you know yet how load-ins will work for the venue, and will there be a green room?
Load-ins and green room. Not sure. Frankly, yeah, just don't know. Again, question might be if we knock this wall down, if we go ahead and proceed with those renos, and I think we will, but if we knock this wall down and push that space into an open space, there probably is not enough room for an actual green room up here, but in terms of load-in and in terms of gear stashing, we probably would build something into that after the fact. There is an exit. It's currently a really janky fire escape right now, which we need to renovate as well as part of our renovations. In terms of green room for a band, probably that would be our downstairs meeting room, which we do have some space. So yes, there's already sort of that. It's not right here, but it exists. Yep.
Have you thought about security at all? Are you concerned about it?
Yeah, security is a question that I've thought a lot about actually, and yes, the answer is yes. So this club, again, in addition to there being stairs everywhere, there's also doors everywhere. And anytime you open a door, you can pretty much get anywhere else in the club if you go down the wrong door. One of our main concerns right now is trying to figure out when we go sort of straight public, how to get people from out there to up here without them sort of wandering all around the club. And we're probably going to have to put in like either a permanent or semi-permanent solution around the doorway entrance area for sure. As far as security itself goes, we would either have to hire that out, have the promoters or bands hire that out, if there's events happening here, that type of idea. Again, there's some logistics to sort out around that for sure, and it is certainly front of my mind.
Does your liquor license cover downstairs?
It does not. Our liquor license is only for up here right now. Yeah. So whenever there's been events out there, typically it's been the promoter or the event that's pulled a special license or whatever, and then. Sorry, yeah.
So like Victoria's got a super strong scene, and I feel like if there's a way that we can all link up, you can get a lot of like the rental work and stuff like that in-house. There's a lot of people that want to help. I'm just wondering, like, is there going to be a way to like keep in touch with how this is going? Or are you going to be like sort of, you have like some way that people can stay in touch with you?
So the question's about keeping in touch and possibly getting some help with some of our labor issues and stuff like that when we're doing renovations. And yeah, it's something actually I honestly haven't thought of, but would I like to see that happen? Absolutely, that'd be amazing. Is there an easy way for us to keep in touch? Yes. Has not been set up yet, but is there? Yeah, 100%. Mailing list is set up over here. Okay, yeah, so it's, talks about joining an email list, PA requirements, type of staging that we're looking for. Anybody that wants to fill out any of that stuff would be amazing. And yeah, we'll hook into a group and then we'll stay in touch. I would like nothing more than to have that happen.
Thanks everyone for coming. We're gonna hang around, but we have city staff here. The city has some awesome music staff. That's Nicola and Nicole over there. And they've set up all these whiteboards here, like what type of stage you need, what kind of PA do you need. I think there's a question over there about like what can you affordably pay for a venue, and I know on a Monday night, $750 in bar sales might not be possible. So, write down what you can pay for the type of shows that you're able to do, and then I think Paul can kind of take that away. And I know you were talking about flexible venue models where maybe weekends are more expensive and midweek is cheaper or this and that. And I know at City Council, so I'm a Victoria City Councilor, this is Jeremy Caradonna who's a City Councilor, Dave Thompson is here, and we are really looking to find more public revenue to support venues like this. So maybe it's about City Council kicking in a couple $100 for midweek shows to help offset the cost. There is a $250,000 fund for cultural infrastructure grants that provides up to $50,000 for a venue like this to help build an arts venue. So I think that's something that I know city staff want to talk to Paul about after this, because I would like to see the city kicking in to pay for the stage, to pay for a PA, to pay for those renos, because that's a really great use of tax money to open up music in the city. So, maybe just leave it there, but please come fill out these forms. Definitely grab a beer and hang out and chat to some people and make friends. And Paul's sticking around and tell them what you need. And thanks everybody for coming out. And hopefully this is going to be a huge music venue this summer. So, thank you.